Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey girl, open the walls, play with your dolls. We'll be a perfect family. When you walk away, it's when we really play. You don't hear me when I say, Mom, please wake up. Dad's with a slut, and your son is smoking cannabis. No one ever listens, it's wallpaper distance. Don't let them see what goes down in the kitchen. Places, get in your places. Go on your dress and put on your cold faces. Everyone thinks that we're perfect. Please don't let them look through the curtains. Picture, smile for the picture. Who's with you, brother? Won't you be a good sister? Everyone thinks that we're perfect. Please don't let them look through the curtains. Look at my mom, she's got it going on. Ha! You're blinded by her jewelry. When you turn your back, she pulls out a flask and forgets his infidelity. Oh, she's coming to the attic. Plastic, go back to being plastic. No one ever listens, this wallpaper glistens. One day they'll see what goes down in the kitchen. Places, get in your places. Throw on your dress and put on your tall faces. Everyone thinks that we're perfect. Please don't let them look through the curtains. Picture, smile for the picture. Pose with your brother, won't you be a good sister? Everyone thinks that we're perfect. Please don't let them look through the curtains. C-O-L-M-H-O-U-S-E. I see things that nobody else sees. C-O-L-M-H-O-U-S-E. I see things that nobody else sees.
Everyone thinks that we're perfect. Please don't let them look through the curtains.
Oh, dag Samola, Rumush Aspa Pipawa. Oh, oh, Ebonk.
You grew up a perfect white picket fence life in a perfect home. Perfect parents. Perfect grades. A perfect sibling. There was nothing that she could not master. A school genius. Musical prodigy. The sports team MVP. Oh, and did I mention she can sing? Yeah, nauseating. Nothing was ever out of place. Or was it? Your memory's a little jaded, it seems. Maybe you got it all wrong. You were taught that your mother maintains the home.
Oh, Mullabide.
And your father builds it. But how was Dad making money again? Geez, you can't remember. Did you choose to forget? And like the perfect sim you are, you fell in love in high school with the perfect person.
Shuna Glabe!
Yump!
Or you thought they were perfect until you saw them kissing your sibling. And only a few years later, they got married. You weren't even invited. You married young out of spite and trying to keep to your mother's beliefs. No, this wasn't how it was supposed to be. You were perfect. Things were perfect. Where did it go wrong? Your ex is always hanging around your sibling's house. He's always around. He's always there. And there's just something about him that you just cannot get out of your head. You two may have accidentally hooked up, and now you may be expecting a baby. What are you going to do? Welcome to the Crybaby Whims legacy. This is what perfection looks like. Quiet, clean, normal. Carl and Alice have the perfect life. Married fresh out of college. Alice, longing to grow a big happy family with a couple of kids. And Carl, graduated with honors and distinguished degrees that help him jumpstart his career path into the computer and rocket engineering world. Yep, life was perfect. In fact, it even seemed like the perfect time to... You see, there's been something slowly filling Alice's empty heart. And that is mindless shopping. But Carl doesn't mind, because he's just as excited to become a parent. And it makes Alice happy. It really didn't take these two lovebirds any time at all before they were expecting an addition to the household.
Nepsy.
Carl was more than delighted to hear the news and wanted to call and tell her mother, Macy, all about it. But that would mean also having to deal with Jayla, her sister. The professional bodybuilder already gives Alice a hard time about her body. The last thing she needs is for her to know that she will now be growing a watermelon-sized belly just in time for bikini season. Carl reassures her that she's beautiful no matter what, and even more so now because she's carrying his child. Every Sunday is dinner at George and Macy's house. The last few years have been perfect with Jayla moving to Tartosa. She hasn't seen her sister for several years and would like to fool herself into thinking that she has forgotten all about Trevor. But has she? Luckily, George and Macy live nearby. In fact, they live right next door. Alice and Carl were gifted their home by Alice's parents when they exchanged their vows. Carl was more than gracious to accept, but Alice sees it as a passive-aggressive move on her father's behalf because he doesn't see Alice as successful as her sister, Jayla. George was never impressed with Carl, thought that he lacked a backbone for true business. But being the charismatic kingpin that he is, there is always room at his table for a man that respects and takes care of his baby girl. So, for now, he plays nice. Although, Carl quickly finds himself on the bottom of George's nice list when he yells at Mr. Jingles. No one yells at Mr. Jingles. Noticing the extra place settings at the table, Alice confronts her mother. No, Mom, don't tell me Jayla is back. Yes, your sister's back in town, and you and her are going to get along. I don't want to get along with her, Mom. She stole Trevor right out from under me. Oh, please, Alice. You were just a freshman, and they were seniors. He just happened to see you first and pick her in the end. Now get over it. You are happily married now, and you are going to leave your sister to her happiness, too. Mom, this isn't fair. You should have warned me that she was back. Alice, not another word. I will not have this family split up over some petty high school crap. I am texting your sister, and that is that. Macy's so physically exhausted from the feud that has been going on between the girls for years. It has physically added years to her look. Oh no, it's Jayla and... Alice! Yep, just another normal family dinner. No unfaithful thoughts here. Jayla and Trevor have moved yet again. They have moved from Tartosa after filming the final season of Game of Groans. They are now just a 45-minute drive away from the city in Del Sol Valley. Alice liked it better when they lived in Tartosa. She couldn't just go and see them. It was much easier to keep Trevor out of her mind when he wasn't even around. Hey, Trevor. Still wearing that same body spray, huh? Oh. Now that Trevor and I are back in the city, we absolutely must get a babysitter to watch my little babies while we are away at work, and not just anyone will do. Oh, well, that's wonderful. Alice doesn't have a job and just sits at home with no kids to take care of. I'm sure she would love to do something, wouldn't you, Alice? Oh, They have very strict care instructions that you must follow exactly. I have all their doctor's information and emergency numbers. They eat only an all-natural diet and need plenty of exercise. Wouldn't want them to get a little pudge like you, huh, Alice? Oh, I'm just messing with you, Alice. You know we missed you. Yeah, I missed you too. I expect you to be at our house at 9 a.m. We work very demanding jobs and may have to call you on off hours, and you have to drop whatever you are doing and come take care of my babies. They cannot be left unattended. You have to take them with you wherever you go. I can trust you with this. Right, Alice? I mean, they are your niece and nephew. Yeah, I got this. Oh, Alice, you haven't changed. Still meek little Alice with no confidence. Do you still think everyone's talking about you too? Oh, Alice, why would they? I think that's probably about all the family time I can stand. Time to go home. Back to the dollhouse. After returning home from dinner, Alice expressed her extreme annoyance with getting volunteered by her mother to watch Jayla's babies. I don't even know them, Carl. I have never even met them. I didn't even know Jayla and Trevor had kids. You had no idea? None. And to be voluntold by my mother? Ugh, I can't say no. Well, just think of it as practice before you give birth to our wonderful child, Alice. Of course, you're always right, Carl. It's just really hard to put our differences aside. Every time I see her, it just makes my blood boil. Maybe I just don't understand. But why does it bother you so much now? I'm tired, Carl. I think it's bedtime. The excitement that followed the announcement of her pregnancy faded to black, and her subconscious was filled with visions of Trevor. Alice always woke up before Carl, so that she can make sure that he had breakfast and his clothes were set out for him for work. This day was like all the rest. So why did it feel so different? Alice didn't get much sleep. She tossed and turned and had nothing but dreams and memories of Trevor floating in and out of her consciousness. And the dreams were anything but pure and innocent. The idea of having to go to Jayla's home filled her with dread. And the thought of seeing Trevor again made her feel a way that she hasn't felt in a long time. And it scared her. Why did he have to pick her out of all people? It just had to be Jayla. Why her? Good morning, beautiful. Wow, this looks delicious. Thanks. Are you all ready for your first day? I wonder what their house looks like. I bet it's a mansion. Probably has a pool too. Maybe 3. Maybe even a jacuzzi. And a personal chef. I was talking to Trevor last night and he said they didn't even have to lift a finger to move. Could you imagine? I mean, I know we didn't really have to lift a finger to move either because George did it all, but wow. Did you know that Trevor's a stunt double of Game Groans? How come you never told me that before? Alice? Alice! Make me groan! What? I mean, what? Are you okay, Alice? Yeah, I'm sorry. You know how I feel about my sister, and now that I'm pregnant, I just feel so bloated and insecure right now. She decided to move back at just the wrong time. Well, I have an idea that will make you feel better before you have to leave, beautiful. Carl always knew how to make Alice feel loved and special, even in her deepest pits of self-doubt. And yeah, it works. After that eventful morning, it was time to see Trevor. Welcome to Jayla's mansion. Nothing like having to walk up and face your fears, insecurities, and all your darkest, deepest disappointments all at once. And if you hadn't already guessed by now, Jayla's babies are 4-legged and furry. Meet Whisper. She is a sweet cuttlebug that is anything but quiet. But she is Jayla's boss babe companion. And Onyx. He is her champion boy. He goes out on her with all of her runs, hikes, and even some competitions. Jayla loves her dogs so much, they even have their own bathroom, just for them. Jayla would never dream of having a nursery in her home, but a bedroom just for her pooches? That's exactly the kind of home that Jayla needs. Her house is so clean, pristine, sparkly even. It looks like a show home, with trophies and posters from their achievements decorating most of their walls. The kitchen doesn't even look like it's ever been used. Like Jayla just orders meals for everything, or has someone else make them and bring them for them. Maybe this is perfection. Up the stairs, we're greeted with yet more pictures of the two of them. Barf. And more movie posters. These posters are from movies that they helped actors get into shape for. And down this hallway leads into their bedroom. Have you guessed which one is her favorite yet? And of course, hanging right over their bed is another picture of Trevor and Jayla. Off the bedroom is Jayla's closet. If there was anything that was going to make Alice even more jealous than she already is, it was this area. Just look at that tub. Alice's job is to make sure that the dogs don't make a mess while their masters are away. But first, she has to say hi herself and see if they're even going to like her. They quickly take a liking to Alice, and maybe it's because her scent is so similar to their own mothers. Maybe one day, Whisper and Onyx, who are not related, might have a puppy, and then Alice can take one home. It would be nice to have a puppy to raise alongside the baby that she's currently growing. Even though they are well-trained dogs, they still seem to make mess after mess after mess. And nothing says that Alice cannot benefit from her sister's good fortune and hospitality. Might as well use some of the amenities around the house. And this yoga is really good for the baby. And I'm sure Jayla won't notice if Alice uses her brand new espresso machine. Nothing to notice here. Is espresso good for the baby? And say whatever you want to negatively about Jayla, but she definitely does love those dogs. Maybe even more than herself. This corner really gives Alice the creeps. Horror movies were never her favorite. Even the dogs stay away. But there's just something else about this corner. This bookcase. It just seems off. Something to explore another time, perhaps. After babysitting, Alice came home and was pleasantly surprised to see Carl and Macy talking about the new baby. Macy, putting on a happy face for Carl, and then quickly a scowl for Alice, seemed delighted. Alice was just happy someone else cooked tonight. Mom, you didn't tell me my niece and nephew were dogs. Dogs? Oh, didn't I? I'm truly sorry, my dear. Must have slid my mind. That's okay. I would much rather watch her furry children than any crotch goblin that came out of her. Alice May! What? I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. When are you going to let this festering bitterness between you two go, Alice? It has been years. You are going to give yourself wrinkles. I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't mean any disrespect. I was just blindsided with her coming back into town all of a sudden. Well, that is understandable. Jayla does what Jayla does. Yeah, thanks for coming by, Mom, but you should really get home. Dad probably can't even figure out what to eat without you. You're right. That man can't do anything without me. And I'm pretty sure the food that Carl gave me is making me sick, so I'm going to go ahead and leave now. Good night, dear. Alice felt the same way about Carl. Could he even function without her? Does Alice really want to raise a child with a child? There's only one thing Alice wanted now, and that was sleep. Peaceful sleep. And lustful dreams about the last time that she was with Trevor. Intimately. It was Halloween and all the teens in the town dressed up as zombies, ghouls, goblins, and witches. It was on this night that Alice was a girl no longer, for on that night forward, she was his zombie forever. Several times a year, Carl had long business trips that forced him to hyper-focus and leave for weeks, sometimes months at a time. The timing couldn't be worse. Are you sure you have to leave?
You know I have to, Alice. I mean, the new servo unit was finally delivered, and we have to get the programs tested. We've been waiting for this delivery. I mean, for like months now. The production backlog alone is gonna take about a month just to catch up on.
I know you have to. It's just you're gonna miss the holidays and new house.
You know I do love your parents' cabin. But what's one holiday when you compare it to the rest of our lives? The new servo unit is gonna open up so many doors for us, Alice.
I know. I can't stop thinking about everything that you're gonna miss, and I think the baby has my emotions all stirred up, and oh.
What's wrong?
You're gonna miss the gender appointment of our first baby.
No. It'll be fine. I know. We'll just put it in an envelope, and we can open it together when I get back.
I'm sorry. I'm such a mess.
No, you're perfect, Alice.
But before she knew it, he was gone. And she was alone. Days turned to weeks, then to months of the same thing, day in and day out. Normally, Alice loved the time away from Carl and would often find herself filling her time at the mall, or worse, Amazon. With the baby just months away, the addiction really started to show its ugly head, and even more so with Carl gone. She ran into Trevor almost every morning, always too busy even for a casual hello. Why does the sight of him still make her feel this way? Wasn't she happy? Soon, it was time to find out what she was having and to check on the progress of the pregnancy. Thanks for giving me a ride. I can't believe I got a flat tire.
Yeah, don't mention it. Do you want me to come in with you or just wait out here?
I'm sure I can manage from here. I'm sorry to put you out. I can even get an Uber back home.
No, really, it's no trouble. I'll just wait out here. You know, I think I saw a taco truck nearby, just around the corner. You know how much I love tacos.
Good morning, Alice. Wow, has it been another month already? Yeah, can you believe it? Well, everything looks great. You're measuring a little ahead, so this is going to be a big baby. We want to make sure that we keep your sugars in check to make sure that you don't have any gestational diabetes. Oh, okay. Would you like to know what you're having? Could you just write it down and put it in an envelope? Oh, another one for the gender party, huh? That just seems to be all the rage nowadays. Almost wish it was a trend when I had my kids. I was so impatient, I wanted to know what I was having before they can even wipe the jelly off. Technology really is amazing. Yeah, keep doing what you're doing, dear, and I will see you next month. I'm really proud of you, Alice. Being a first-time mom is never easy, but you got this. Thanks, Doctor. The holidays came. It was Alice's favorite time of the year. This is the first year since she's been in a relationship with Carl that he wasn't able to be with her. At least not in person. I miss you. This is a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be.
I'm so sorry, hon. Things are worse here than I thought. I mean, honestly, the servo unit wasn't even functioning when it was delivered. I might have to stay in San Machinima just a little bit longer.
You stay as long as you need to, Carl. I'll be alright. That place would fall apart without you.
And I would fall apart without you, Alice. I've gotta go. Something's going on.
I love you. The family was used to a certain kind of luxury, and Winter's Fest was no different. I appreciate you staying with me. I'm kind of bummed I can't ski this year.
Well, I'd be out there if I didn't mess up the old football injury from high school. Again.
Oh, right. That ankle is still bothering you, huh?
Yeah. Last injury senior year really took me out of the game for good. Now, anytime I just tweak it a little bit, it seems to get aggravated.
I think you did more than just tweak it out there today.
Fair point. Anyways, that's why I switched to acting after Jay and I got married.
Oh, wow. Look at these cookies.
I'm sure that Jellybean would love some of those.
I'm sure my doctor would love to know the sugar content in those.
Nah. Don't worry about the small stuff. You're going to make a great mother, Alice.
You think so? Thanks, that means a lot.
Hey, maybe you can talk to Jay into having one too.
Why? Hey guys, we're back. Let's have lunch. Winter's Fest came and went. And on the last night of vacation, I cannot believe you. How could you turn that roll down? That offer could have us on the top, Trevor.
So then you go, Jay.
Get out, just get out!
Oh, you heard that, huh?
Yeah, I think all of Mount Komorebi heard Jayla.
Yeah, I'm surprised she didn't start an avalanche.
So, what did you turn down?
They wanted me to co-star in some spin-off series or something for the Game of Thrones.
And you turned that down? Wasn't that your dream?
That's Jay's dream. I mean, it would have meant moving back to Tartosa, and I don't really want that. Not when the little jellybean is about to be here. I mean, I'm about to be an uncle.
When they were together in high school, one of the things that attracted Alice so much to Trevor was how different he was. He always talked about wanting to settle down and raise a big happy family. Always said he wanted a house full of kids. And so did Alice. So when he cheated on her with Jayla, it really surprised her. After all, Jayla hates children. After the holidays, Carl came back from business, and life quickly returned to normal, with the same thing day after day, just like always. It wasn't long before spring showers came, and Alice was feeling monstrously huge from pregnancy. The bigger she got, the brighter her glow became, and soon someone else couldn't help but take notice. I have to go and talk with your agent. I will fix this, and you will take this role. This will rocket your career to the top, Trevor. Think of what that could mean for me.
Admit it. You just want to go back to Tartosa to see Jerome.
Take this role, or don't be here when I get back.
Bitch. Oh, I guess you heard all that, huh?
Well, Jayla isn't exactly quiet. So who's Jerome?
Yeah, the director. Found out she just wanted to go there to keep screwing him behind my back. Anyways, I missed my own mom's funeral for this show. Some son I turned out to be.
Yeah, I know. I was there.
I really appreciate that, Alice.
Of course, she's family. They spent the rest of the night just talking and reminiscing over old memories. And soon, one drink became several.
You know, I'm starting to think I might have picked the wrong sister.
Oh, it's getting late. I really need to get home and make Carl dinner, so...
Alice. Wait. Oh my god, what am I doing? I'm so sorry, Alice. It's the beer. I've had too many.
No, my water broke.
Oh, okay. Keys. Where are my keys?
Trevor, call an ambulance. You're too drunk to drive me anywhere. Don't worry, I don't think it's coming right now. I haven't even started
Okay, alright. You're okay. Just breathe. Okay, hospital. Got a call. What hospital?
Just the closest one. The one in Newcrest is over an hour away. There's no way I'm gonna hey.
Right. Okay, yes.
This was the most intense pain Alice has ever experienced in her entire life. And this was just the beginning? How was she meant to push an entire human being out of her body? Then it dawned upon her.
Okay, the ambulance is coming, and they're bringing in OBGYN with them.
Oh, Carl isn't gonna make it.
I'm calling him too. You're okay, Alice. Just breathe. No, I lied. He's not even in town. He left for business. He was supposed to be back before I delivered. Can you just, like, not?
Seriously?
Okay. Fair point.
It didn't take long for the ambulance to get to Alice and Trevor and whisk them away to the Del Sol Valley Hospital nearby. When they arrived, the pain was almost unbearable. They couldn't even give her an epidural in the ambulance. Oh, Alice, hello! Aren't you lucky that I was doing my rounds in this hospital tonight? Oh, small world. I wasn't expecting to see you deliver until sometime next week. I do have a few other patients that I need to check on, but I will be in to check on you every so often. The ladies here are wonderful, and they'll be able to take care of you and all of your needs. But like I said, I will be in to check on you in just a little while. I have a few other patients I need to see. I honestly wasn't even expecting to see you here tonight, Doctor. Thank you. Alright, hun, let's have you jump up here so we can see how dilated you are. The contractions aren't too bad. They still seem pretty far apart. Yeah, even though your water broke, you're still only about 3 centimeters dilated. If your water didn't break, we honestly would be sending you home. New mothers could be in active labor for hours, sometimes even days.
Days?
Oh, don't worry. Since Alice's water broke, we'll be monitoring her labor and the baby the whole time. There's an exercise bowl that can help open up your pelvis. You can also feel free to roam the halls and take as many hot showers as you would like. We also have a birthing jacuzzi all set up with warm water to help any discomfort you may be having. Wow, this hospital in Newcrest doesn't have a birthing jacuzzi. Dad, this couch folds out into a bed. It's not very comfortable, but it's something to lay on. And there are even vending machines out in the hall.
No, I'm not the, I'm just gonna go wait in the,
Trevor, don't leave me.
Don't worry, Alice. I'm not going anywhere.
Well, alright, we'll be in the hall if you need anything. Otherwise, try and rest as much as you can. I'm sorry. This must be super awkward for you, but please don't leave me alone. And it did take hours of waiting and bouncing and waiting and bouncing. And on one of her rounds while walking, she ran into the doctor again. Oh, Alice, I'm so glad I ran into you. I have a few emergency surgeries that I must attend to. The staff here is really amazing, and I promise you they will be with you the whole way, but I just don't think I'm gonna make it to the actual delivery of your baby, Alice. I really do apologize, but I have to help these other ladies out. Oh, I understand, Doctor. It's fine. The ladies here are amazing. Thank you, Alice. You're gonna do amazing. Luckily, she was able to get an epidural partway through, and that really helped her to be able to relax. But before the anxiety and fear of the unknown could set in, it was time to push, and there was no more time to be unsure. Alright, Alice, when I say push, I want you to bear down as hard as you can, and I'm gonna count to 10, and then I want you to take a breath, and then I want you to do it again, okay? Okay, and push! 1, 2, 3. Carl did eventually make it home, but it was all too late. Little baby Ian was born, perfectly healthy. Carl apologized profusely for missing the birth of their first child, but Alice was so wrapped up in the euphoria of motherhood that she just simply didn't care in that moment. Can you believe it?
Alice, I'm so proud of you. He's perfect.
It all happened so fast.
I would give anything to go back in time so I could be there with you.
Don't feel bad, Carl. Trevor was there. And now that Ian was here, everything changed. The kiss, so easily forgotten in the whirlwind of breastfeeding, diaper changes, and late sleepless nights. Jayla was quick to let Alice know that she was no longer needed to watch her dogs. The last thing she needed was a baby stinking up her model home. Alice was slightly relieved. She had been avoiding Trevor since that night. That kiss. No, he was drunk. It was an accident. It was a nice accident. What was she thinking? What was wrong with her? Having a new baby, Alice quickly realized that days seemed to just blur together. Soon days, weeks, months were passing by, and Ian felt like all he did was eat, poop, and sleep. And honestly, that's all Alice managed to do too. She was lucky to sneak in a shower. And he grew so fast, before Alice could even realize that she should cherish the small moments with Ian, they were gone. And he was a toddler. Ugh, why do you insist on taking that thing with you everywhere we go? Can't we just enjoy our weekly coffee without the noise? Jayla, you will not start this. He is my grandbaby, and your attitude towards children will not keep me from my only grandchild. Ugh. You know you could benefit from having one yourself. Ugh. You're going to end up losing Trevor to someone who will. He won't leave me. He can't. I'm like a drug to him. Enough, girls. We came here to talk about vacation this year. Now, Dad and I were thinking... Tartosa! Oh, Mother, that's a wonderful idea. You and Daddy are going to love it there. And I'm sure we can find something for your little urchin to do. Don't worry. My urchin and I will stay far away from you. Girls, you will not ruin this trip. Daddy has been working very hard this year so he can take us all there, and you won't mess this up for him. Do you understand? Daddy loves to spoil you, and if you fight and bicker the whole time, you're going to make that man cry. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. George may be a big-time crime boss, and he has half the police force in his pocket, and he may own the mob, but he really is just a big romantic softie. He cries at weddings, birthday parties, babies being born, finishing a good book, and even a good romantic film will get him going. But don't ever make fun of him, because that'll be the last thing you ever do. Unfortunately, Carl had to leave again right before the family's big trip, but this time, Alice felt more relieved. She loved Carl. She knew she loved Carl. So what if she was gonna be alone, on a beach, in paradise, with Trevor, half naked, glistening in the sun. Ugh! Everything with Trevor is just lust and passion, and Carl is safety and warmth. Is it wrong to desire both? Oh, Tartosa, it's so wonderful to be back here. There's this small restaurant, Mommy. I just have to take you to it. It's wonderful. You're just gonna simply love it. And Is your spawn eating sand?
Yishla.
Oh, darling, here. Daddy and I will take Ian to bed in your rental. I'm kind of tired too. I might lay down before dinner. Even my babies are trained better than that not to eat sand. You know, I can give you the number to a really good trainer. I think I'll pass. Your loss. Anyways, I have some business that I must attend to while we're here. I should be back right before dinner, don't worry. Don't wait up. Trevor agreed to show Alice around, while George and Macy put Ian down for a nap in the rental that they were staying at. Tartosa was breathtakingly beautiful. The waters were crystal blue. It just seemed so perfect, so romantic. Alice could almost imagine it. Like, the perfect spot to get married. Alice, do you take this man to be your husband? I do. And Trevor, do you take Alice to be your wife?
I do.
I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride.
Alice?
Huh?
I was just saying, this is one of the best views here.
Oh, right. It's beautiful. I really love waterfalls.
It's a shame that Carl couldn't be here.
Oh, yeah, he had to go and take this master's course or something on a new program that they're running for this servo. He tried to explain it to me, but I didn't really understand it.
That man must have one hell of a big brain.
Yeah, he sure does. Apparently the servo's been acting up and backfiring on other employees. Carl seems to be the only one that can get it to run correctly. So until he can train someone else, he's kind of their go-to man.
Yeah, no pressure. Must be hard having him gone all the time.
Oh, I've gotten used to it. Sometimes it can be nice. I can read and clean. And with Ian now, it's not as bad. He really does help pass the time. After a beautiful tour of the resort and a luxurious dinner, the family said their goodnights and went to their respective rentals. It was only when Alice was alone that she felt the guilt of talking to Trevor. Where was the angel on her shoulder whenever he was near her? She almost didn't feel in control.
Hey, Jay and I just got into a fight. She kicked me out. Do you mind if I just crash on the couch?
Oh, of course. Come in. Are you drunk?
Maybe. So what?
I'll get some blankets and an extra pillow for the couch. You can sleep here.
Yeah, she went to go see Jerome before dinner. I could smell his cologne on her when she came back to the room. Alice, I still love you.
What?
We were young, and I was dumb. I can admit that. But after seeing you again these past few years, and watching you grow into a mother has really made me see how much of an idiot I was, Alice. Can you ever forgive me?
It had taken years for Alice to get her apology, but that was all she wanted. Since that day, when she saw Trevor with Jayla, those few sweet words was all it took to melt away any thoughts or feelings of Carl. She allowed herself to just forget for a moment that she was married, that she wasn't available, that this is wrong. But is it wrong? If it's what your heart wants? Being around Trevor was so intoxicating. She couldn't help but let herself go to the addiction. Nothing else mattered but getting her fix for an itch that no one's managed to scratch. After the flood of endorphins left her, she was left with the painfully heavy guilt. What did she just do? How could she do that to Carl? He has done nothing but love and care for her from day one, and this is how she repays him? She was no different than Trevor. Could she live with this guilt and just not tell him? It was just one night. The kiss was never talked about, and there was no repercussions from that. But it was more than just one night. In fact, any chance that they could sneak off and be together, they were. It was so exhilarating. being so naughty. The idea of being caught at any moment made it all that much more better. It felt like a game, like a movie, like it wasn't real life. It felt like after they left Tartosa, everything would go back to normal, and what happened on this trip would stay on this trip. Alice, you ready to go? I'm coming. I'm coming. Alice, I'm so happy to see you back. Little Ian's almost 2 now, isn't he? Growing like a weed. Well, you're at home. Test was correct. You are indeed pregnant. And your HCG numbers came back very high. Oh, is that bad? We won't know anything without a scan, but a high HCG could be an indication for multiples. Do twins run on your side of the family? Twins? Oh, yes, they are far more common than you may think. You'll be surprised how many there are in the world, especially with medically assisted pregnancies being more on the rise. Oh, God. That's terrifying. Don't worry, Alice. Carl's going to be so excited. You're going to do great. Really, twins is just like having one big baby, and you have such an amazing support system behind you. Yeah. Now, we're going to go across the hall for an internal exam to confirm, and I'm going to set you up with a few extra tests and screenings, and we'll give you the orders before you leave here today. Twins? Who is the father? Ever since Ian was born, Alice joined the local Mommy and Me club, and they all get together several times a week to allow the kids to socialize, and the mommies can get some much-needed adult time. They're all homemakers with working spouses, like Alice, so they all have a lot in common. And currently, it's babies. Guess who's pregnant again? Oh, Alice, honey, are you really? Apparently. Do you see Dr. Kitty? She is amazing.
Oh, I had her too.
She is the sweetest thing.
That woman is a gift from God.
She helped me through my 31 hours of labor. She came in on her off hours to be there for my emergency C-section for little Jack. Dr. Kitty did an ultrasound before I left, and we saw 2 little beans in there. Ian's gonna be so good, big brother.
Oh my God, speaking of twins.
Oh, here we go. Oh, come on, this story is crazy.
Oh, it's crazy, all right. Lord, I wish this was wine.
So the article read that there was this polyamorous couple, a throuple, that lived off in the countryside to get away from social norms. And everything was beautiful and perfect, and they all got along, they all helped each other, they loved and cared for one another.
Oh man, 2 husbands, lucky. Lord, I can't even handle the one I have.
Well, they had a couple of kids, you know, as you do, but they wanted to try to have one pregnancy where they both sired the baby.
Is that even possible?
No way! Oh, yeah. It's called heteropaternal superfecundum, and it's very real. And this couple, throuple, did their homework. They tracked their cycles and the fertility periods. They went to town like rabbits on each other, and it worked. She ended up pregnant with twins, and the twins had the separate fathers biologically.
What?
Could you imagine the drama if it wasn't planned?
Oh, I'd pay to be a fly on that wall. Alice felt sick. Alice, are you okay? You look pale. Oh, my morning sickness has been really bad lately.
I read that twin pregnancies can amplify ailments that normally associated with early pregnancies.
Lydia, will you stop with all that research and nonsense? Alice, honey, we'll watch Ian. Why don't you lay down inside? Finally, a good idea.
Before they left for their trip for Tortosa, she slept with Carl. After all, they were actively trying for another baby. What was she thinking? And the entire trip, she couldn't keep her hands off of Trevor. What was she gonna do? Was she gonna tell Carl? Trevor? Or keep it a secret? Twins? With two different fathers? There's no way. No way. Right? Of course Carl was excited to hear about the twin pregnancies. He was, after all, none the wiser of the extracurricular events that took place between Alice and Trevor in Tortosa. Alice's stomach was in knots. Just look at that face. If the babies are Carl's, she doesn't want to have to break his heart for no reason. Carl doesn't have to know about Tortosa. No one does. Alice doesn't even want to remember. But when she closes her eyes, it's all she can think about. Carl and Trevor look similar. Is it possible that no one will notice? And if no one notices, can Alice live with this guilt? The next day, they walked over to George and Macy's house for their weekly family get-together. Macy has softened more with becoming a grandmother, which makes the weekly get-together much more easier to handle. But George still acts like the world revolves around Jayla.
There is Grandmommy's little prince. Oh, how big you are. I swear he gets bigger and bigger every time I see him. And how have you been with the pregnancy and all, dear?
My morning sickness has definitely been all-day sickness, and I feel way more run down than when I was pregnant with Ian.
You know you can bring Ian over anytime you need a break. Daddy and I love to have our little man over.
I saw Trevor's car outside. Where is everyone?
Oh, don't worry about them. They'll be down shortly. Come, help me with the table.
Oh, sure. Family time was just like all the other times they got together. Lots of noise. Was Alice the only one experiencing all this guilt? Doesn't Trevor know how babies are made? Alice just needed a moment to talk to Trevor alone. But that was easier said than done. Hey, Trevor. I guess you heard the news, huh? I'm pregnant.
Not now, Alice.
Now what was that all about? Maybe Tortosa was just a fantasy.
Alice, darling, now that you're pregnant with twins, we simply must start planning the first photo shoot. Now, I was thinking a cute cottagecore theme. If they're boys, they can both be farmers. If it's girls, then we can both make them into little flowery princesses. It'll be so cute, and then we can do it.
Why did he brush her off? What could be wrong? He definitely wasn't acting like himself. Last week, he couldn't keep his hands off of her. Now he won't even look at her. In a perfect world, she would have slapped him. And then probably kissed him. Why is he even so sexy when he's angry? She doesn't recognize this Trevor.
And all the flowers have to be fresh. Oh, don't worry, darling. Daddy will pay for it. How does that sound, Alice? Alice?
Huh? Oh, yeah, Mom. That sounds great. Whatever you want. Well, we better be heading out. Lots of packing to do. Packing? Oh, yes. Didn't you hear?
Trevor and I got contracted for another movie. We'll be heading back to Tartosa in the morning.
We are not moving back there.
Yes, we will be back next year, of course. I have been feeling rather claustrophobic in the city, so a year out in the fresh air will be a nice change of pace.
Yes, good choice taking that role, Trevor.
Daddy and I are proud of you both, dear. Out of sight, out of mind, I guess. Maybe the drama will be easier to avoid after all. Carl is the most amazing, attentive, and supportive partner anyone could ask for. He went baby shopping with her, paid to pamper her, which doesn't make keeping this dark secret any easier. How could she keep something so big from someone so sweet? He even came to every appointment. It was so amazing watching the little beans grow from appointment to appointment. Would you like to know the gender of baby A? Yeah, of course. Baby A is going to be a girl, and everything looks healthy and normal. And baby B? Baby B is also a girl. And I don't mean to alarm you, but I can't get a good enough angle on baby B's heart to see if it's the right size for the gestational age.
What does that mean?
No. Well, of course, I am not a pediatric cardiac specialist, so the first thing that we will be doing would be getting you referred to a local specialist right away. At that appointment, you will have about an hour to an hour and a half ultrasound where they will monitor her heart to make sure it's forming correctly. It all sounds scary. Is she gonna be okay? I know it's easier said than done, but stress isn't good for the babies. Now you tell me. I know, I'm sorry, but usually it's just twin A covering twin B, and that's why the heart cannot be monitored properly. It's the best case scenario would be when you go to the ultrasound appointment, then the babies will be in a different position and they'll be able to see the heart and everything will be fine. And if they can't? If it doesn't, and the pediatric cardiac specialist determines that the heart has not been forming properly, then once baby B is delivered, then she will need to be sent straight away to the NICU for evaluation and possible open heart surgery to fix the defect. Oh my. I know it all sounds so overwhelming, but know that we have one of the best pediatric cardiac surgeons here in the world at this hospital. So you and your baby are in the best of care, and I don't want you worrying about the worst case scenario when we haven't even determined if we need to. Remember, all this extra stress is not good for the pregnancy. I'll try my best. Now, her name is Jessica Ross, and she works in the same building. I can set you up with a preliminary appointment with her tomorrow afternoon. Dr. Ross is a younger doctor, but she's extraordinarily gifted in her field. You're in the best of hands, I promise you. This is also overwhelming. The world felt like it was spinning. Suddenly, the affair doesn't seem so important.
All right, Mr. and Mrs. Rain, I apologize for the wait. I know it must be agonizing. Now, I have reviewed your ultrasound taken by Dr. Kitty and the ones that we just did down the hall. I can for certain say that baby B does have 2 holes forming in their heart.
Oh my, is she gonna be alright?
Well, the good news is a lot of small holes that form in the heart do close on their own before or shortly after birth. One of your daughter's holes does fall in this category, and I'm not concerned by it.
And the other?
The other is a bit bigger than I like to see. I want to see you back several times before delivery, and we will need to schedule a planned cesarean for the delivery. It is my hope that the hole will close more on its own, but it's very large, and I have a feeling that it will need to be repaired surgically, if not immediately, then shortly after birth.
You look like you're gonna pass out. I think I might.
I can only imagine how overwhelming this is all for you. I don't personally have children myself, but I am really good at my job, and I promise that I will do anything and everything in my power to make sure that you take home 2 healthy babies.
Thank you, Dr. Roz. Alice felt like she had a hole in her heart too. and all she wanted was for Trevor to hold her and tell her that everything was gonna be okay. Alice did continue to see Dr. Roz, all the way up until she delivered. Unfortunately, the hole never got any smaller, but Dr. Roz was optimistic that they wouldn't need surgery right after delivery, and they may even be able to wait a whole week to allow for Twin B to get stronger.
Okay, Alice, you're gonna feel a lot of pressure, okay? We're delivering Twin A now.
Oh, that feels so weird.
Twin A is a girl.
All right, now to deliver Twin B. Please be okay, please be okay, please be okay, please be okay, please be okay.
Twin B is also a girl.
I didn't hear any crying. Carl, I
Twin
don't...
B needs oxygen.
She isn't breathing. Someone get NICU down here. It's the OR.
Please be okay.
Sorry to keep you waiting, Mr. and Mrs. Rain. I know the intensity of how fast we must react can be pretty jarring. Your daughter's in recovery and is going to be just fine.
Oh, thank God.
I'm expecting her to make a full recovery and be able to be discharged in a few weeks. We will have several follow-up appointments that my nurse will set up with you before you leave. I'm not expecting her to need another open-heart surgery when she is older, but of course I cannot guarantee the future.
Thank you so much for all you've done for us, Dr. Roz.
I will give you a moment to celebrate the birth of your new babies. Congratulations again. We will bring you down to the NICU in a few hours. She's going to be monitored and asleep for a while. Try and rest while you can.
Carl left to go call the family and tell them the good news, leaving Alice alone. It was only now, in the silence, that she realized just how tired she was. After a much-needed long rest, they wheeled Alice down to the NICU so she could see her daughter for the first time. It was a surreal moment. Seeing her there, attached to all those machines, Alice couldn't help but cry for how helpless and small her daughter looked there in that moment. Not being able to just hold her was the hardest part. Or so Alice thought. The real hard part was leaving the hospital with just one baby. Luckily, it wasn't long before the twins were back together. They decided to name them Grace and Sadie. Ian wasn't terribly thrilled with all of Mom's attention going to baby Grace. And then they had the audacity to go back to the baby store and get another one a week later? Just what is going on? The twins have been thriving since being brought back from the hospital. You almost couldn't tell that Sadie had a bit of a rougher start than her sister. Everything had been so hopeful and cheerful at every follow-up appointment with Dr. Roz. And then it happened. The first bill of very many bills came in. Surely this has to be a mistake. What are they gonna do? Carl, how?
Don't worry, Alice. I'll take extra shifts at the lab.
Carl, you're already gone so much. This isn't fair. How could they charge us this much to save her? She's important. Her life is important. How could they put a price on that?
It'll be okay. Alice, I promise. I will take care of it.
How, Carl? Have you seen these numbers?
Do you trust me, Alice?
Of course.
Then leave it to me.
How do you always make me feel so safe? Trying to get into a routine with the twins seemed impossible. Alice felt like she was in survival mode. All that mattered was eat and sleep. Even showering wasn't important anymore. And finding clothes without spit up on them was getting next to impossible. Pajamas are a style, right?
Hello, dear. Don't worry. Grandmummy is here to help. I made extra food. I'll go put it in the fridge. Oh, honey. You look absolutely awful.
I love you too, Mom. When was the last time you showered? Or put on real clothes? Frumpy is a style, Mom. I'm just embracing it. Why don't I feed the twins and you go on up and take a shower? Oh, thanks, Mom. Maybe I'll feel more human. And put some clothes on!
And put some clothes on.
Alice didn't know why, but she had this overwhelming desire to just cry. She felt so sad. Carl said he would take care of everything. She trusted Carl. He's never lied to her. Not like how she keeps lying to him. She has no reason to be sad. The twins were fine and healthy. Carl had returned to work, and Trevor and Jayla haven't been back in town in almost a year. Everything was working out. So why is this vast pit of emptiness threatening to swallow her whole? After a shower and a healthy cry, she did feel a lot better. And even though she knew she would have been just fine slipping into another pair of comfy pajamas, she did throw on something just to appease her mother. How much of her life has been about pleasing others? And when was it her turn? There, now you look more alive. Feel better, dear? Yeah, Mom, thanks. Oh, don't thank me just yet. I came by to tell you that Jayla's coming back to town. Ugh, great. You know Daddy's gonna want to get together as a family for the holidays. You mean Dad wants to get together with Jayla? Whoosh now. Daddy loves you both very much. Yes, ma'am. Jayla even offered to host this year so we don't have to travel with precious Sadie. Isn't that just gracious of her? Yeah, actually that is. Go on up and spend some time with Ian, dear. I'm sure he misses his mommy time. I know your sister was terribly jealous after you were born. Not Jay. Oh yes, she would throw little tantrums and destroy her toys just to get my attention. Poor dear. Anyways, I'll watch the twins and I'll get dinner ready. Go on, go on. Thanks, Mom. It's been so helpful having you just right next door. Well, that's what grandmommies are for, darling. Ah, the holidays. Nothing but forced social interactions, awkward conversations, and of course, family. Alice, dear, there you are. Bring the little darlings over here. Oh, yes, please do. Oh, hush, Jayla. You know you aren't getting any younger. You and Trevor really should be thinking about having one yourself. Who's gonna contract me for a movie if I'm as big as a house? Honestly, Mother. Ugh. Oh, they look simply adorable, Alice. Where's Dad and Trevor? They're around. Oh, look, there's Judith. I simply must show the little darlings off to her. Why don't you and Carl go get some wine? Oh, yes, please. That's weird. Where's Carl? All the noise was just too much for Alice to handle right now. She just needed to get away. Oh, I didn't know anyone was in here. I'll leave.
No, stay. She's mine, isn't she?
Yeah, I think so. Carl thinks she looks like George.
Damn.
Trevor, I'm so confused. I want you. But what about Carl? Jayla?
I still love you.
Trevor, don't leave me tonight. There was no denying it now. This is an affair. They're all going to get hurt. No one is going to win. So why can't she stop? Life seemed perfect now that Alice and Trevor decided to continue their secret love entanglement. And weirdly, things were working out. Trevor and Jayla were out of town often for work, and so was Carl. Their schedules oddly lined up so conveniently. Trevor was always in town whenever Carl was not. It was like the affair was supposed to happen. That's ridiculous. She knows she's hurting Carl, but he just isn't the same anymore. Ever since the bills started piling up, all he ever does is work and research and work some more. He doesn't even eat dinner with her anymore. And she can't even remember the last time they were intimate together. And she knows that woohoo isn't everything, but he won't even hold her anymore. Could he possibly know? Trevor, on the other hand, cherished his moments with her. He loved spending time with the kids and was way more involved with helping when he was around than Carl ever was. He explained how sorry he was for cheating on her and that he chose wrong all those years ago, but he never really went on to tell her why, and Alice was too smitten to care. She felt like she cheated Carl in a fair chance. After all, he was unaware of what she was doing behind his back. They decided that before they would completely give in to their feelings for each other, that they would each make one last attempt to fix their own relationship. And the outcome of each was not as anticipated. Hey, Carl? I was thinking maybe we could have a romantic dinner, just the two of us, you know, like we used to.
That sounds great, Alice. I know I've been really busy lately, and I'm really sorry about that, but...
Oh, I understand.
That sounds really great though, Alice. I'll definitely be there.
I love
I've gotta go.
you.
Tick-tock, Mr. Rain.
Reservation for Rain, please?
Right this way, ma'am. Would you like to order now or wait?
No, I'm gonna wait. My husband should be here any minute.
Miss Raid, this is the lab. This message is to inform you that the results of the paternity test that you requested are back. Both children have 100% relation to specimen A that you provided us, and there is no relation to specimen B. I hope that answers any questions that you may have. Your bill will arrive in the mail in 7 to 10 business days. Have a good night.
What is with you lately? You've been so moody. It's such a buzzkill.
Jay, you know what the problem is.
Ugh, the children talk again. Is that really why you've been so broody?
Do you blame me, Jay? It's been years. You promised after college we'd start a family.
Well, I went to the doctor, just for you, and it turns out that I'm completely infertile, so there's that.
What?
Yeah, well, nothing's coming out of there.
Oh, Jay. I'm so sorry. I didn't,
Oh, stop. Don't get all emotional. Trevor, if I could give you a smelly little you, then I would. You know I love you.
I won't bring it up again.
My sister has so many. You could just borrow one of hers. Come on, I'll show you how much fun we can have without kids around. No matter what they did, they were drawn back to each other like magnets. It was an addiction at this point, and neither wanted to stop. This went on undetected for years. It was almost too easy and routine at this point. Her relationship with Carl almost felt like roommates at this point. He was in and out of the house at all hours, and he spent all his extra time out in his lab. She wished she could just freeze time and stay in this moment forever. How easy would it be? Just get a divorce, walk away from it all, leave Carl, take the kids, marry Trevor, maybe finally be happy? Trevor, I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this. Carl doesn't deserve this.
I know. Jay's starting to get suspicious, too.
Let's do it.
Hmm?
The divorces. We can run away together like we talked about. We can take the kids.
It's just not that easy, Alice.
Why can't it be?
Well, I have a lot tangled up with your sister, business deals, financial assets. I mean, your dad even.
Dad?
Never mind. Let me fill Jay out, Alice. I can't just spring something on her. You know how she is.
Oh, I know. She only handles change if she's the one making it. It was a nightmare sharing a room with her growing up.
Still is.
I want this, Trevor. I want us. I want to stop hiding.
I know, Alice. I do too.
Are we really doing this? Pretending to play house with Trevor was the best part of Alice's week. He even walked Ian to school most mornings.
Trevor seems to be over an awful lot.
Oh, you think so?
I hope you know what you're doing, dear.
I know, Mom. Ready to go for a walk?
Oh, Alice, she looks just like your father.
Oh, yeah. It definitely is all Dad.
You know, I would have swore one of you girls would have come out with the darker hair, too. Must have skipped a generation.
Yeah, must have.
Jay, I'm home. Hey boy, who's a good boy? Jay, you down here?
Did you really think I wouldn't find out, Trevor? I want this, Trevor. I want us. I want to stop hiding.
I know, Alice. I do too.
Are we really doing this? Did you really think I wouldn't find out, Trevor?
You know, I just don't understand it.
Our family has taken you in, treated you as one of their own, gave you everything. A career that led you to fame, business deals that left you a fortune, partnerships that will give you lifelong stability. And for what? My sister?
What? Dog is cute.
I can't explain.
Oh, Trevor, you may be able to play Alice like a fiddle, but you can't play the violinist.
What do you think George is gonna say, huh? When he sees you beat me to shit?
Are you seriously threatening me with Daddy's wrath? Oh, you really don't know, do you?
What are you talking about?
Daddy is dying, Trevor.
What?
Yeah, brain cancer. Inoperable. So sad. Anyways, he's leaving everything to me.
Oh God.
And if you weren't so busy sticking your eggplant where it doesn't belong, then maybe you wouldn't be so clueless. I closed the business deal with the Gran agency.
What?
And Everyday Extra Talent agency is eating out of my hand. I don't need you anymore.
I've been trying to get them to sign for years. What did you do?
Oh, Trevor. You really have been living under a rock. Apparently, Daddy's new cook makes one hell of a product. It really does sell itself.
Don't tell me.
They were begging to be affiliated with Daddy. And now,
Jay, you guys didn't.
The new guy is such a lab nerd, a real big brain kind of guy. I'm sure you'd love him. Turns out he had a real money problem a while back. Medical bills or something.
You guys are sick.
Now he's just greedy. Takes all Daddy's money so he can keep his little Frankenstein machine shop running. So who is the real sick one?
You're just exploiting him.
True. So you see, it would be a real big problem if Alice decided to, I don't know, break Carl. So you have a choice to make, Trevor. And since you seem to be having a hard time making the right choice, how about I make it for you? You're going to break things off with my sister. You're going to shatter her heart in so many pieces that she could never even fathom looking your way again.
I won't do that, Jay.
Oh, you will. Remember, love, there are certain things only I can provide you. You're mine, Trevor. Don't forget that. Jeez, that rain came out of nowhere. Hey, Carl. I didn't think you would be home from work. Is everything okay? Carl?
What is this, Alice?
What is what?
It's a paternity test on the twins.
Carl, I can't.
I can't even look at you right now, Alice.
That was not how I wanted him to find out. What's he gonna say when he finds out about you? Don't worry. Trevor and I will love you. Always. Jeez, Trevor, you scared me. Are you okay? Oh my god, babe, who did this to you?
It doesn't even matter.
Was this Jayla? Oh my god.
No, Alice, listen. Just, please, stay away, okay?
What? I don't understand.
There's some stuff I need to handle.
But Trevor, your face, she can't just...
Promise me, Alice. You will just let me handle this.
Okay, I promise.
I gotta keep my two favorite people safe.
I don't want you to get hurt, Trevor. I'm worried about what I'm getting myself into.
Alice, I'd never let anything happen to you.
Alice filed for divorce after that. It was what she wanted. So there was no sense beating around the bush. And she tried and tried and tried to contact Carl, but it was no use. He just would not take her calls. The poor kids. They must be so confused. The stress was terrible for the pregnancy. She started early contractions and had to be placed on bed rest. Grandmummy to the rescue once again. Thanks for helping, Mom. I really don't know what I would do without you. Well, what are you going to do now that Carl has left? And that is Trevor's baby, isn't it? Guess nothing gets past you, huh? Oh dear, haven't you learned yet? Mummies know everything. I couldn't help it, Mom. I feel awful for what I did to Carl, but I'm not mad. Well, the heart wants what the heart wants, honey. Sometimes you just can't change that. I feel guilty that I'm not mourning the loss of my relationship, my marriage. I actually feel relieved. All that matters is that you're happy, dear. I think I am. And what about your sister? Well, a work in progress then. Months passed. The men in her life seemed to have vanished. She was beginning to worry that she ruined her relationship with Carl for nothing. What business with Jayla was Trevor mixed up in? Does she really want to get mixed up in whatever all that was?
Alice.
Trevor! Where have you been? Are you alright? Jayla, is she...
Sorry, I'll explain later. Look, we have to go.
Go? No, I can't go. I'm on bed rest.
Bed rest? Is the baby okay?
Yes, they're fine. Trevor, what is going on?
This wasn't how I wanted to tell you. You're probably gonna want to sit down.
Okay. There, I'm sitting. Now what is going on, Trevor? The truth.
Alright, Alice. The truth. It all started in high school.
High school, where everything starts. Jayla, a top dog, a senior that year. Trevor, starting his junior year. And Alice, entering as fresh meat. Jayla ruled the halls in the school. She was class president, prom queen, and well on her way to becoming valedictorian when she graduated. Everyone loved her. She didn't even have to try. Well, not everyone. Trevor saw past Jayla's charm initially, resting his eyes on innocent Alice. She was breathtaking to him. Something about her just drew him to her. It was magnetic. And the feeling was mutual. Soon, they could be seen roaming the halls in their high school together. And it wasn't long before the rumors started to fly about them.
I heard that Trevor got himself a new freshman. Someone said they were hooking up in the locker room.
What? No way.
Well, I heard that he was just using her to do all his homework so he could stay on the football team this year. I saw them walking to his house together.
They are totally doing it. Alice? A boyfriend? With one of the jocks? Jayla had to investigate. Alice and Trevor grew close quickly. And after several months, Trevor finally allowed Alice in. Alice was shocked. Trevor lived alone with his mother, who was sweet and very sick. She was fighting her own battle with addiction and losing. Their house was stuffed, trashed even. Trevor just didn't have the time or the energy to keep up with his mother's illnesses. He had to spend all his free time working just to make ends meet for them. And with her declining health and frivolous spending, it was getting harder and harder for Trevor to stay ahead. Trevor and Alice actually spent very little time together after school. He worked a lot, and Alice tried to keep their house cleaner for his disabled mother. Trevor appreciated all the help, but he still felt like he was drowning. And there it was, Jayla's opportunity. And she was waiting, ready to knock. She made him a deal he couldn't refuse. Drugs. All he had to do was make a few sales, and he will have more than he made all month at his job. His mother could get treatment. He could keep their house. He could even have enough to ease the strain on their situation. But you know what they say about curiosity. It only took one time. And he was addicted. He couldn't stop. He couldn't silence the gnawing demons in his head telling him to get more. Just one more. What could hurt? It's just one dose. Jayla won't know. Jayla has some. You can work off of has more. Jayla always has some. Jayla won't mind. Jayla. She looked more and more attractive to Trevor every time he went back to get more from her. Both to sell and to use. All the while, Alice was still showing up on the daily to help Miss Hanson. All too naive to really understand what she was tangled up in. It wasn't long into their tumultuous relationship that Jayla took Trevor to meet the true kingpin behind the whole operation. Her father, George. After Jayla boasted over Trevor's charismatic ability to sell product to literally anyone, he agreed to take Trevor in under his wing. And if he could prove himself, then he would be welcomed to the family. After graduation, Jayla and George went on tour for colleges, finally settling in on one near Del Sol Valley. The anticipation of new, high-class clients and more money made Jayla giddy with greed. All she saw was walking simoleons. The new school year started. Trevor was acting so distant, and he kept missing school. It worried Alice. But then again, high school is a very confusing time. And Trevor had more on his plate than the usual teen. So in the end, she didn't think anything of it. After Halloween, Trevor told Alice that he was leaving. He was heading to Del Sol Valley to start an entry-level program to learn how to be a stuntman. He would be finishing his last year of school online and attending graduation at the end of that year. She of course would miss him. But they weren't really official. Whatever that means. Relationship titles can be so confusing. Jayla and Trevor met up in Del Sol Valley. And together, they started to spread George's influence over the city. And no one was immune to their advances. Actors, producers, directors even, all in George's pockets. Much like the police, leaving Jayla and Trevor to use whatever means necessary to get the simoleons they all hungered for. Alice felt empty all summer after witnessing Trevor with Jayla during his graduation. She didn't even know Jayla was there. This ruined everything. What about Alice's perfect life plan? Go to high school, find a sweetheart, get swept off her feet, have the perfect little white picket fence house, get married and have kids. Trevor was that sweetheart. But he's gone. What now? George's business kept Trevor and Jayla away. Alice almost forgot. Her life fell into a peaceful, quiet, boring routine. Carl. All he ever did was talk about his robots, his work, his lab, his research. All of it was too much for Alice to understand. So she would just nod and smile. Carl was safety, and he fit Alice's life plan perfectly. But was he ever dull? Alice craved more than that in her life. She wanted excitement, passion, a lust for life. But all she got was... Working on Game of Groans in Tartosa was just another front for George's dirty business. Jayla had been trying to convince Jerome, a big-time director, to contract with her father. With Jerome's connections and George's product, it wouldn't be long before the celebrity scene would be eating out of his hands as well. And we all know what happened to Trevor after they moved back from Del Sol Valley with Jayla. But how does Carl fit into all of this? The foundation funding the Servo project went bankrupt overnight, leaving them to clean out their offices for good. All of Carl's hard life work, there, in a box, to be thrown into storage, to gather dust, and leaving his dreams in the dark, and just walking away. No, he was on the verge of something. He just needed more time, more money. Of course, George obliged. He saw weakness, opportunity. Even family wasn't immune to his exploitative business nature. It was easy for Carl, at first. He just didn't think about it, and he wouldn't dare utter a word to Alice. She didn't need to know, but the more he delivered for George, the more he did think about it, and it made him sick. He stopped sleeping, eating, caring. All he did was work. At least when he was working, he didn't have to think about all the people's lives he was helping ruin. The guilt ate away at him. They needed the money for the bills so badly, especially after Sadie was born. And he was so close to a major breakthrough, he just knew it. He just needed more time. Then he could take care of Alice and his family right. But all he managed to do was push her away. He couldn't tell Alice. Of course Carl wasn't pulling away because he knew she was cheating. He couldn't stand to be in the same room with her because he was physically ill, trying to keep all of this from her. I'm sorry. What? This is a joke, right? You got me. Where are the cameras? I mean, Trevor. Trevor? You're kidding, right? I need a minute to process all of this.
I'm sorry. I had to get clean before I could see you.
Oh, I'm gonna be sick.
Alice, we need to leave. You don't know what Jay is capable of.
No, Trevor, we can't. I'm on bed rest for another 6 weeks until our baby's delivered. I'm not even supposed to be having any stress. I'm supposed to be taking it easy. I can't run away.
Okay. Just calm down.
Calm down? Calm down? You just told me that my father, my sister, my boyfriend, and now my ex-husband are all part of this big secret drug organization? And that all of this has been going on right under my nose? And in my house? And no one even bothered to tell me? Why? Why was I kept in the dark? And does Mom know?
She would serve lemonade and snacks during the business meetings.
Of course she would.
I'm so sorry, Alice. I should have told you.
This is insane. Like, you sound actually insane. You know that, right? What else have you been keeping from me? Is Trevor even your real name?
Really?
Okay, that might be a little dramatic. So, then that night, on graduation, you and Jayla were
Trading services?
Ew.
That was a dark time, Alice. I didn't even know you were there that night.
Of course I was there, Trevor. I love you.
I messed up. Real bad. Let me make it right.
How? How do we come back from this? You were right. He is with her. He never really left her. He has made his choice. You want me to kill him? What? No. I'm not that kind of a monster, Mel. I thought I had the one thing he wanted. But now the one thing he wants I just can't give him. Who wants smelly, roly-poly shit factory anyways? Me, apparently. No, you just want man. Perhaps. You don't need a man. You are strong without. And you can be stronger still. Oh? How so? I'm sorry, I needed a shower. I felt so dirty.
No, don't be sorry. This is all my fault.
As soon as we can, we have to move.
I can't agree with you more there.
I need to get away from my family.
Come back inside.
This is an actual nightmare. The kids? I can't raise the kids around these people. I don't even know if I'm happy that they're at Carl's tonight or not. Maybe we could live in the city.
I don't know, Alice. I'm pretty burnt out on the city life.
Right. The country. The country. It's quiet and peaceful.
Your sister would never visit.
Could you imagine her heels being stuck in the mud? Maybe we could get a cow and some chickens. Oh, the kids are gonna love it.
And Onyx. I mean, I'd hate to split the dogs up, but he's...
Your baby. I understand, Trevor. Jayla's not in town, right? Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go.
Well, I guess. The house setter would be gone by now.
Let me get dressed real fast.
Hey, boy. Yeah. I missed you too, buddy. Oh, sorry, girl. You would never forgive me if I took you away from Jay, though.
Hey girl, who's a pretty girl? You're a pretty girl, yes you are.
Just careful with her, Alice. We just found out she's pregnant.
Pregnant? Who's gonna be a good mommy? You're gonna be a good mommy.
I gotta find the keys to the SUV.
Soon you're gonna be as big as me. You're gonna be waddling around this house, yes you are.
Trevor? Is this a secret room? Jayla's like Batman. You have a gym under your house?
Okay, I found the keys. We're gonna have to take the SUV for Onyx.
What's in there?
Nothing. Let's go before we trigger the house surveillance.
Is that where...
Come on, Alice.
Okay. Are you sure you're not gonna miss all of this?
All of this is what I'm trying to get away from. All I need is you, is us.
You know, I was thinking about going back to school. I know, it's pretty stupid, huh?
I don't think so. It sounds like a good idea to me.
Did you know I was actually studying to major in law before I met Carl?
Really?
Yeah, thought I could change the world.
Yeah, no. You still can.
You really think so?
Hey, I mean, I could even open up a home gym so you could go back full time. I mean, if you wanted to.
You would do that for me?
Of course, babe. I love you.
Trevor,
911, what's your emergency? I'd like to report an accident.
All nurses to the nurses' station.
life is a fragile thing, isn't it? Man is fragile. All Daddy's power is mine. Perhaps I'll take you up on your offer. I thought you'd never say that. Incoming car accident.
All doctors to the ER.
What is the report?
The first patient is a middle-aged white man. He coded blue at the scene, but was revived, but is still in critical condition. He has major blood loss, and we need to get him in a room.
Get the defense.
Second patient is a middle-aged white pregnant woman. She started bleeding on the way over here and needs to be in labor delivery right away.
Call a NICU. Let them know we're coming
All
up.
nurses to the nurses' station.
Sorry, ma'am. You can't go in there. Trevor! Life. The only certainty is that it could end at any moment. As beings, we cannot banish dangers, but we can banish fears. We mustn't demean life by standing in awe of death. Death is no more than a turning of us over from time to eternity. Eternity. Such a small word to describe such a haunting vastness. And so we ask ourselves, will our actions echo across the centuries? Will strangers hear our names long after we are gone and know who we were? Trevor Hansen lost his life in an accident that will not soon be forgotten. Those of us who knew them best will be able to retell memories of his kind teenage years. His daring career had him facing life and death situations daily. And we will carry that memory of a friend, a husband, in our hearts forever. We will celebrate his life, and we will cherish his memories of his fierce loyalty, unwavering convictions, and deep, faithful love. Trevor Hansen is gone from this life, but will not be forgotten. He will live on within all of us. Death is not the end,
merely the next chapter. Knowing this amazing and kind soul has made us better people. And for that, we should be grateful. And it is our privilege and responsibility to ensure he is remembered forever for how honorably he lived, how bravely he fought in the end, and how fiercely he was loved.
This is all Alice's fault, Mel. What will you do? Oh. I can think of a few things. You can save her. You have gift now. I have no sister. Why would I give such power to someone so meek? Let her rot there. Besides, there are so many other ways to take revenge.